Hello and welcome. This is yet another episode of News Night, and today, continuing the drama and the suspense, we saw dramatic scenes inside the Vidhan Sauda where the rebel MLAs flown in a private charter plane from Mumbai, where they've been holed up all this time ever since they resigned on Saturday the 6th of July, were given full police escort, a traffic-free zone from HAL airfield to the Vidhan Sauda, and were taken inside the Speaker's chamber, inside the Legislative Assembly, where they did, in fact, this time in the right format, given their resignations to the Speaker, Ramesh Kumar. Now, that's also today followed by an exhaustive press conference by the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly in Karnataka, Ramesh Kumar, who answered all questions in that press conference and also gave his rationale for why exactly has he taken so long, because the criticism, remember, has been from the BJP especially that the Speaker is trying to buy time, he's trying to delay accepting those resignations, so on and so forth. Today he gave answers to all of those questions, an exhaustive press conference, a press meet, like I said before. We will discuss that because this is clearly what we know as of now. He has said today in that press conference he will take his time in scrutinizing all those resignations because he has to be at peace with himself. He cannot throw caution to the winds. He has to move by the Constitution, the established Constitution of the Republic, and after all he is liable to be answerable to the people of his state and the Constitution of this Republic. That is why he said he cannot act in haste or in lightning speed, and that's why he'll take his time. So there are people today who say he's bought some more time, but he has some very convincing arguments today on why this is moving along at the pace that it's moving along on. We'll also talk to our guests. I'll introduce them in just a bit on the developing situation in Karnataka. Still massive mystery, really, a suspense over whether the government will stay or go. But first, we'll take a look at reactions coming in throughout the day today. These are some of the most important ones we saw, the ensuing Nataka in Karnataka. Take a look.
There has been a lot of confusion in the state of Karnataka over the prevailing political situation. The print media and electronic media are also confused, and several people have their own inferences drawn. I am addressing this press meet officially to clarify the entire situation. Unfortunately, the political instability that has set in to politics of Karnataka today, I am no way responsible, nor am I interested in the outcome of it. I am obligated to the Constitution of India and to people of Karnataka. I have a duty to place facts as they are before the people of Karnataka through the esteemed media. That's the only way in democracy you can convey any message to people. There is a feeling that some of the members tried to come and see me. They have given the resignations. Deliberately, I am holding up those resignations in order to help the survival of a government which is allegedly running into minority. Let me clarify the position. About a group of MLAs of 10 or so, they have visited my office on Saturday, 6th of July by 2:30. They had not sought prior appointment with me. I had no communication about their arrival. I was in office from 10:30 to 12:45, and I had my own personal problems. I had to leave office by 12:45. And Sunday was 7th. 8th, one day I had preoccupied engagements. I had not anticipated that all these developments would come, and I was back in office on 9th. I had instructed my private secretary and my secretariat to receive all these letters that would come from the members and issue them acknowledgements for having received. And on 9th, when I came back to office, I scrutinized each one of the purported resignation letters. As per the rules of procedure and conduct of business of Karnataka Legislative Assembly, Rule 202 specifies that the intended resignation should be in perfect format. Unfortunately, 8 of the 13 letters that had reached my office were not in the format. I have communicated to them on 9th itself that if they so intend to resign, they should resubmit their resignation letters in the prescribed format. The remaining 5 people whose resignation letters were in the format. I have given them time, giving a 2 days time from 12th onwards. 13th and 14th happen to be holidays. I have called 3 of them on 12th, the remaining people on 15th. This is the position.
So that was the Speaker, B.R. Ramesh Kumar, clarifying his position today, and I'm very interested in what might play out from here on in. Joining me tonight on Newsnight, Sanjeev Srivastav, senior journalist, also Pratyush Kant, spokesperson of the BJP, Ashutosh Mishra, senior journalist and political analyst, and completing the panel today, Ishkaran Bhandari is an advocate. Thank you all for being with me on Newsnight. Sanjeev, I want to start with you because I don't know if you saw the press conference, and call me crazy, Sanjeev, but everything the Speaker said, it looked to me, seemed to me, came from years and years of experience. He held the point that due process is most important. He, as Speaker, has to make sure to his own conscience that there is nothing murky, nothing fishy about the resignations, and he can't really work at lightning speed. Due process must have its day. And he also quoted clause 202, in which he said 8 of the 13 resignations that came to him on the 6th itself were not in proper format, and that's why he had to go back to them on the 9th and tell them that you have to give me in a proper format. Now that has happened today, but do you think the criticism leveled at the Speaker throughout the day, yesterday and day before, was that he was trying to buy time for the tottering government? He was trying to perhaps delay things. Did you think during his press conference he answered all those questions adequately?
Well, at least Speaker had a point of view. He had some logic and rationale to what he was saying. So while you concede that, Arthur, very honestly, you will also have to remember that he's a veteran politician. He has been elected as the Speaker of the Karnataka Vidhan Sabha for his years of experience, as well as for his loyalty to the party that he originally represents.
True.
Because somewhere, perhaps, the JDS-Congress combination saw such a situation evolving at some stage. So with such an experienced politician, such experienced hands on the deck, you won't expect him to come out and say something which one can immediately find fault with. Having said that, I also disagree with the manner in which the rebel MLAs or those who have resigned want to have their resignations accepted as of yesterday. If they are committed, if they will stand their ground, there is no way the Congress and JDS can cajole them back. At the same time, the Speaker, whatever his legality, nice articulation of it, the bottom line remains that in the process or in the garb. Now that's a subject of interpretation. But he has given a little more breathing time to the ruling dispensation, that if you can get your house in order, if you can get the numbers right, so be it. And he was perfectly legit in his argument when he criticized the lawmakers and the MLAs, that why are they trying to browbeat him through a Supreme Court or exerting pressure? So this drama, if anybody thought it is an open and shut case and it will see the closure and the curtains will fall,
so
as if it's a one-act play.
The plot thickens as the Speaker.
Not happening.
Yes, as the plot thickens today with the Speaker's press meet today. Yeah.
So picture abhi baki hai, as they say.
Interesting, very interesting. Pratyush Kant, the plot thickens, as Sanjeev Srivastav says right now. If the Speaker came out with legitimate reasons today suggesting, in fact, he also had, in not so many words, blasted the BJP, suggesting why did the rebel MLAs go to the Supreme Court, who was stopping them really from meeting me or submitting their resignations. I never stopped them. Words to that effect. Do you think that criticism is entitled currently? Also, do you agree with Sanjeev, Pratyush, that no matter what, he might have had legitimate reasons really, but on the face of it, the first takeaway is he's bought some more breathing time for the tottering government?
I absolutely agree with Sanjeev ji. Now, about the Speaker, I will not say much because it's a constitutional post. But Arthur, one thing we cannot rule out, that why did they need to go to the Supreme Court first? That speaks volume. Not only people of Karnataka are looking at the drama, what's happening, but also people all over India. Now, here, the Speaker is trying to save a government which was incompatible from the day one. I mean, there was antagonism between Congress and the party. Now, Speaker has given them a breathing space. But,
no, but that's what
as we
he was trying to say. He said they had no need to go to the Supreme Court in the first place, as nobody really stopped them from going to him and submitting their resignations. Certainly he did. That's what he was trying to say.
Athar, you are missing the point here. Athar, you are missing the point here. If there was no need, Supreme Court would not have retained this matter firstly. The CJI would have thrown the file like so many cases are dismissed in Supreme Court every day. I'm sure the court must have found merit in the case. They must have saw. Did you hear the Speaker say one thing? That on Saturday I did this, Sunday, Monday I was preoccupied. Preoccupied? Sir, with all due respect, there was in your state, with all due respect, on Monday, there was a huge drama happening in your state. You have to take out time, whatever you are doing, and do it. But whatever the story goes, the story here is that the court is keeping a watch on it, the people of India are keeping a watch on it, and this plunder and loot of Karnataka has come to an end. Okay. And that is what the underlying story in the whole thing is.
Ashutosh Mishra, one second. Okay. Of course. This is not a one-act play. This might go into days as well. Ashutosh, I'll come to you first, then I'll go to Ishkaran. Ashutosh, do you buy this, that the Speaker is just merely trying to buy some more time for a government perhaps which has seen its last or best days at least? At the very most, the Speaker can delay the inevitable, not prevent it.
You are absolutely right, Athar, that he might be able to delay the inevitable, but he will not be able to stop it. Now, what the Speaker today should have also said, told the Congress and opposition parties, is to do what the Indian Army has done. Just last week, Indian Army issued an advisory to its officers and soldiers to be wary of honey trap being laid out by ISI. He should tell the Congress and opposition leaders to look out for money trap being laid out by BJP. Because this is going to happen. This is the real face of New India, where in Modi 2.0 we will see that people's choice, the electorate's choice, will be mocked at by people who have money. For BJP, it seems the election results don't matter.
That can't really be proved,
they can use
right.
horse trading to tilt the balance.
That's an allegation. Mr. Mishra, with all due respect to you, one second, Ishwaran, please wait for your turn. Please wait for your turn. Please calm down, wait for your turn. With all due respect, Mr. Mishra, you can't prove that allegation. None of these 13 MLAs have either mentioned the BJP anywhere in their scheme of things. They say they're doing it completely of their own volition, voluntarily. They say they're disappointed, disillusioned with the government. The BJP's name has come up nowhere. Officially, I'm saying. So that's an allegation at best, Mr. Mishra, isn't it?
Other you are living in Kaliyug. Do you expect the guilty people to accept their guilt?
Look, I'm not a judge. I'm not judging anyone here. I'm not in that position. I'm just telling you what is out there in the public domain, and nowhere in the public domain have any of these 13 MLAs mentioned the BJP. That's all I'm saying.
BJP people have been seen with these MLAs in Mumbai.
That's true.
Times now has shown.
Yes.
I
agree. They of course say, and this is their version of things, that if they see a political opportunity, they're trying to extend support, etc., etc.
And Jadavpal's PA was also with
I'm not defending anyone here. Ishkaran Bhandari, let me ask you, going strictly by the rule of the law here, and you are of course you have better knowledge of the law than I do, but the Speaker had legitimate points today. He has to convince himself, and he said, I have no bias, I'm not concerned with what really the outcome is going to be, but he has to make sure that his own conscience is absolutely free and clear when he makes any decision. And he started off in the beginning in the day saying there is something fishy, something murky about these resignations. Then he goes on to say that expecting lightning fast responses from me would be akin to me doing some dereliction of duty, because he has to be convinced there's nothing wrong with these with the motive really of these resignations. And he's also put forth the timeline really on how he advised these group of rebels to come have a meeting with him, come to him, give them a resignation in proper format, and then he would think about it. He says due process must go on. Do you have a problem with that?
Athar, nobody has a problem with due process. That is why the MLAs had to approach the Supreme Court. This, by any definition, is a constitutional crisis in the state. That is why they approached the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court issued notice and has entertained the matter. If the Supreme Court did not feel it's a constitutional crisis going on in the state of Karnataka, and I think everybody on the panel will agree it's a first-class crisis. Whichever side you are in, it's a crisis mode where the Speaker has to decide, and Supreme Court has also to ensure that the Speaker acts fairly, because we all know the Speaker comes from the ruling party. So the Supreme Court also has to go into the fact that the Speaker's decisions are fair, just, and are not unreasonably delayed. Some amount of time to come to a decision is understandable, but it should not be unreasonably delayed. And unfortunately, this is a situation where all sides are doing Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed.
So ensure that unlike the last time,
please let me finish my point. When you let me finish my point. When we talk about people's mandate, a party which had barely 30 MLAs becomes a CM after a post-poll alliance to keep somebody out. This is being brewing from day one. It was an unstable, shaky coalition from day one. It is coming apart at seams. The only result which appears likely is that people should go for a fresh election so that people can decisively decide we want to vote for an alliance or we go for a particular party. Otherwise, it's all going to be a mess for many days.
I do have a counter question for you, but I'll let Ashutosh Mishra rebut you first because he wanted to say something first. Then I'll come back to you. Mr. Mishra, you had something to say. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so the Supreme Court had to come in here because let's remember what happened last year. The governor gave 1 month's time to one Mr. Yedurappa, who was short of MLAs, to prove his majority. Now everything is, I mean, we know what's happening there. And that's why Supreme Court has to entertain this just to ensure that hanky-panky doesn't go on in Karnataka. And what Mr. Bhandari speaks about elections. Now, why Mr. Yedurappa does not want the elections is because in the recently held
too long. A decision by governor could not be delayed too long. Similarly, a decision by speaker cannot be delayed unreasonably.
So if I may complete,
Supreme Court said do a protest immediately.
Yes.
So as I was pointing out to before Mr. Bhandari came in, is why Mr. Yedurappa doesn't want these elections to be held. He has said that he will not allow midterm elections to be held. Mr. Yedurappa is on record on saying this. Is because in the recently held local elections, he lost even in his own hometown, that is Shimoga. So BJP doesn't want local body has seen that local body elections have pointed out that it cannot win. So what it is doing now is using money power to buy MLAs and saying that will not allow midterm elections to be held.
What are we talking about? What is this man saying? What is this man saying?
Please hold on. One second. One at a time, please. This is not the way. Let me come back now. Let me come back.
What are we talking?
Apart from the political here. One second.
What is the issue here? What are we speaking?
No, 1 second, Ishkaran. Please calm down. Mr. Pratyush Khan, please calm down. Apart from the political, which is obvious clearly, and it's the first takeaway any of us take away because we all are political junkies in one way or the other. I want to go to Mr. Sanjeev Srivastava first here. Mr. Sanjeev Srivastava, the fact that even Ishkaran says, even the governor's decision way back in 2018, I believe September, a year back when Mr. Yedurappa's government was given were enough ample time to prove his majority. He ultimately really couldn't. Even questions were raised back then. Then going by the same yardstick, I believe that Ishkaran has a point. Even if that particular time window or period was far too long for anyone to prove a majority on the floor of the House, maybe not lightning speed, but under a reasonable amount of time, the Speaker has to decide one way or the other whether he accepts these resignations or not.
In that case, Atar, just one short point.
The governor did in May 2000.
Governors giving 1 month time is unreasonable and reduced it to 1 day.
Sanjeev.
Yes. So, what he was saying was correct, the BJP spokesperson, that the governor initially gave 1 month time and everybody cried foul. That how can somebody who has not a majority mark, the BJP was in its about 85, 87 seats, 105 seats, they were nowhere close to the majority mark. Why is the governor giving them 1 month's time and somewhere encouraging horse trading? So the Supreme Court was petitioned and the Supreme Court reduced the time to, I don't remember exactly, but I think it was 3 days or 2 days time was given to prove his majority. So which was fair. So right now what the Speaker is doing, now what you think is reasonable and not reasonable is again open to interpretation in the current circumstances. But the speaker is trying to come across as reasonable. He is saying that there are 2 days public holidays in between. So he has called some MLAs on the 14th and some on the 15th after the 2-day holiday. And he's asking the 10 MLAs who had resigned earlier or 8 MLAs who had resigned earlier to submit their resignation afresh in the proper format. So he's trying to come across as somebody who is reasonable, somebody who is willing to follow the book. At the same time, political observers know that he's giving time to JDS Congress. But can the Supreme Court take objection to this, or can the governor now suo moto intervene? Again, these are complicated constitutional matters. I think that my gut instinct will be that the Supreme Court will be willing to play along with the Speaker's line if he doesn't extend this whole timeline and decision-making process beyond the 15th. So another 4 odd days can be given. But I think if the Speaker tries to gain any further longer rope than that, then the Supreme Court may come down with a heavy hand. But that's only a guess. Supreme Court may decide to do something else. They may say you have to decide by tomorrow or day after.
We can't second guess the Supreme Court.
It's anybody's guess.
Absolutely. Mr. Kant, very quickly from you and Mr. Mishra, both. First for you, Mr. Kant. The Speaker, Mr. Ramesh Kumar, also pointed to the fact that he has to make the right decision going by the Constitution and the laid down rules as well. Do you believe when he asked the question, raised the question about whether or not these individuals, these 13 odd MLAs have already decided for kosher reasons not to support the government and resign from their posts as MLAs, why do they need to have to shuttle from one state to the other? If their consciences are clear, why not just stay in the state, and it'll be easier for them to communicate then?
You know, a third kind of mess that has been created in Karnataka, with all due respect to the Speaker, everybody knows that what the situation has become there. There is fear of life, there is huge amount of money which is involved, and let me play the devil's advocate here. Why do you want to say, maybe those 13 MLAs who have resigned, maybe their heart is beating for their state, for their constituents. Maybe they are thinking that what's happening, why there is so much of corruption, why only blame BJP for anything? This was an unholy alliance. The whole country knows about Congress and JDS alliance. And now that alliance has gone, is cracking up. And let me tell you, Supreme Court doesn't take cases like that. If Supreme Court is seized of the matter, I am sure nobody can play footsie for long. They have to come to a decision ASAP. This drama cannot go on, and the whole country is watching. There is a level to which you can quote the Constitution. The Constitution doesn't allow mockery of democracy. Nobody can play with the Constitution.
Fair enough.
This state, the people of Karnataka need a stable government. They need to go on, and it has to happen ASAP.
Mr. Ashutosh Mishra, is the political reality in Karnataka now, all things considered right now, even though the Speaker tried to give his legitimate reasons why he is delayed, is the political reality in Karnataka inching towards, perhaps moving towards either fresh elections or a BJP-ruled government which can prove a majority on the floor of the House? Because as of now, because the strength of the Assembly is down, the BJP has the numbers, the coalition doesn't. And it does not look like that these 13 MLAs will go back on their words or on their decisions to not support the government and resign from the Assembly. Do you really believe there can be something that can be pulled out of a hat, really, that could immediately turn the tables? Because looking at it, there can be no kosher means by which these MLAs will come back.
You know, Adar, my guess is as good as yours. So we don't know what will happen to these 13 MLAs. But at least what these 13 MLAs have shown to the electorate, as the BJP spokesperson was talking about, serving the people. So these people were elected on a certain symbol, and now for their own self-greed, they have suddenly realized that it's better to tie up with BJP, and that's what they are doing. Now, coming to the fact that you keep talking about elections, I have been pointing out Mr. Yediyurappa has said it in public, it's there reported by media, that he will not allow midterm polls to be held. What does that mean? That means that this horse trading will keep going on. I mean, we have seen in Goa that 10 MLAs from Congress have switched over. Now, we are seeing again and again. In Andhra Pradesh, TDP, the 4 MPs who were till the other day, one of them was called South Kamalaya by BJP, has been taken in by BJP. What BJP is doing right now is it's trying to increase its footprint by hook or by crook.
Okay.
So I don't think that there are going to be any
last comments from Ishkaran.
Maybe
Ishkaran, I'll give you the last word. Ishkaran, I'll give you the last word. Where do you see this going? The Supreme Court, of course, is monitoring everything as we speak right now. But how long do you think the Speaker can stall, if I can use that word, from giving in his answer to those resignations?
See, my guess is, and we can only guess what the Supreme Court would do, but like in the governor's time, it will not give Speaker too much time. He would have to come to a decision, and that decision then would be subject to judicial scrutiny. So he better come to a fair decision, and he come to a decision fast.
All right.
Because the crisis will not be allowed to be elongated by the Supreme Court.
All right.
They might do it tomorrow or in a couple of days maximum. The Speaker will have to decide.
Well, the Nataka in Karnataka refuses to die down. More time, political analysts feel, is being brought today by the Speaker. We'll keep a close eye on developments in Karnataka. In the meantime, the MLAs, we are being told, are headed back to Mumbai by private charter plane. Thank you, Ishkaran. Thank you, Ashutosh Mishra, Sanjeev Srivastava and Pratyush Kant for joining us on Newsnight. I've been Athar Khan. Thank you for watching.